जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन नंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा काला चंजी राधा काला चंजी राधे जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय देवा जय शुभ निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Thank you all for coming. I'm a new learner here, so please forgive me my mistakes today. A lot of very senior Vaishnavas here. And so, as per our very dear Nrsimharupa Prabhu's request, or his order rather, that I have to take class today, so I will share some of my personal realization which are based on Bhagavad Gita. And my background is more in the corporate side, so I will share some of the relevant examples from there to see if it makes sense. How Bhakti Yoga is actually the only way in this age of technology advancement or artificial intelligence or robotics, whatever we want to call it, how really Bhakti Yoga is the only way to bring real life to our life. So I'll share some of the examples. Before that, I'll do small prayer. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much. How many? It's not working. That's fine. I'll take that so I can use that as my. I've used this before here. I had some visuals, but in the scheme of things where we are, we can try to use words to create that visuals. So please stay with me, and I would love to make it more interactive rather than having question answer at the end, because I would like to get your input during this session. So essentially, as our Prabhuji mentioned that, okay, can we talk about the glories of Bhagavad Gita? And I thought, I don't have a lot of knowledge and I don't know a lot of wonderful verses. I know I've heard that there are wonderful, people, saintly people, they have said so many things about Bhagavad Gita that I've heard, and also a lot of very famous people who talked about Bhagavad Gita. Maybe I can share from the perspective how it makes a difference in the life of common people like some of us here. And how can it make a difference in the life of our children who are actually in, elementary school, middle school, or high school. And so from that perspective, one of my favorite verses is in chapter 2. I'll start from there, and then we can dive into what is happening today in the world and how we deal with based on that. It's in chapter 2, verse number 14. So if some of you know or you want to open on your phone, go to vedabase.io. The website is vedabase.io, and then click on Bhagavad Gita icon there. And then you go to chapter 2, and you will see this verse. How many are here for the first time? Oh, welcome. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Kalaji Temple. How many of you know Bhagavad Gita but have not taken deeper dive in terms of hearing, listening, or reading? It's okay, even I have not done it. That's why I'm going to take 2 or 3 verses only. Very good. Thank you very much. How many of you know Srila Prabhupada? Or how many have you not heard of Srila Prabhupada? Who is here, right here? Okay, we will talk about him also. Because of him, we are here, we are discussing this. So, if you have it open on your phone, you can read along with me. It says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agma pai no nityas tam ikshesta bharata. Would you like to read Oh, you don't have mic. You can read the translation. Can you read the translation, Prabhu, for this?
O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
So this verse is explaining that, as Srila Prabhupada explains and our Acharyas explains, that this whole material world where we are living today is full of ups and downs. We always see a glimpse of happiness, then we see glimpse of distress. Glimpse of happiness, that's how it goes on, just like winter and summer season. And then it says, they arise from sense perception. That means our senses create that. Shri Radha Kala Chanji ki jai. Our senses create that temporary happiness and distress that we go through. And then it says, O sign of Bharata, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Imagine if we can actually learn how to tolerate ups and downs in our life without being disturbed. Meaning, even if I am at the top of my career, and I am very happy, I got everything that I want, yet I am outside of it. Meaning, I'm not really bewildered by that. I'm able to handle it. I'm able to deal with those successes. If I fail, if things are going wrong, can I handle it? Can I come outside of it and look at it as a bigger picture? That's okay. It is the nature of the material world. And hence, it does not impact my happiness and distress. But it's very difficult, especially dealing with our success. With failures, we cry, we go to somebody, we somehow manage to do it. But happiness or our success, we really do not know how to deal with it many times. And then what happens is that leads to greed and more greed. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And so it becomes extremely difficult. And in that process, I become so ignorant, that I really do not know how to behave in society. And I forget the objective of the human life in that success. So now I'll take a step back. Coming from the technology background, coming from working in the corporate side and helping clients that I work with, actually helping them sell this technology which is based on artificial intelligence, automation, robotics, and what that leads to today in the society. So what really happens whenever we have a technology advancement, or any kind of advancement, the objective is only one. Anybody wants to make a guess? What is the objective when we do that? Any advancement? What is the reason we do that and why we want to invest time and money in that? Efficiency, yes, absolutely. And efficiency is for what? To make things easier, and ultimately I have more time and I will be very happy because I can do whatever I want to do, right? But in 1950s, by the way, they sold washing machine innovation, saying that with washing machine, that was not in every household, with washing machine innovation, now the families will have more time to sit together and spend more time together, right? And especially they targeted the mothers of the house, that you're working really hard, you have this washing machine, now you'll have more time for family. I don't know, we are in what, 2025 now, 75 years later, I don't see anybody having more time. It is still less time. Right? And so in this process, we have done so much of evolution and advancement in terms of technology, which now includes very sophisticated technology, which is pretty much taking over what we think, what we do, our actions. Even when we are sleeping, it is still watching what we are doing. And in that process, with that data collection, two good things happens actually. So there is some good thing happening with technology. I'm not against, because I'm helping sell that too, so I'm part of it. Any advancement in technology or anything has a positive aspect, which is in this case, advanced medical capabilities to cure, diseases. Ability to forecast, such as weathers or catastrophes, much more advanced so that a lot of lives can be saved. Using technology, we can also now connect with the saintly people much more faster. And so list goes on and on. And on the negative illustration side, what happens is that anytime there is a technology advancement or any advancement, I don't know how many of you know, but the first use of that advancement, anybody knows in what area? No. First commercial use. It is in the pornography area. That is the first most common commercial use. Even if it is before it is hands of our children or us, every single time. And so as AI and robotics is expanding, it is creating ways to go into more and more sense gratification, engaging more senses into the area, which is actually creating significant issues in the society at large. And so, there are a lot of statistics which I cannot show you right now because I don't have a screen, but I can pretty much tell you there are so many reports about how these social media tactics, which are supposed to do more good, they're doing some good, but at large they are doing a lot of harm on a social platform. And hence, if you don't know, Australia has even banned the social platform up to a certain age for people to use, especially if they're students. So essentially what is happening is that it is contributing to false identity. What does it mean? What does the false identity means? And this is where chapter 2 spend more time about the false identity. False identity means, and I'm going to give you some very graphic illustrations, what has happened recently, which is happening every day. There's a wonderful girl, 24-year-old, who is social media influencer. She needed to reach at the mark of 1 million followers. And because she could not get there, what happened? Anybody following the news? She committed suicide because she could not get to 1 million. Imagine what is going on in the mind of the 24-year-old, that my life is not worth living because I am not known by the identity of 1 million users or 1 million followers. And like that, there are so many examples. I have this spectrum here I wish I could show you, but think of it, even from the richest person on this planet to the most famous person in the sports area, to in the entertainment industry, even the presidents of the countries, almost everybody is going through this cycle where this false identity is actually haunting extremely deeply in our consciousness. And so, I'm going to give you a few examples to make this point, that in the story of Bill and Melinda Gates, when they were splitting, Melinda Gates mentioned that for several years, everybody knows who they are? Okay. One of the top richest people in the world. And so his wife mentioned that, for 10 years, several years, she slept on the floor not knowing what to get up for next day. And absolutely no idea what I'm going to do in my life. Imagine, some of us have problems that who's going to do grocery, who's going to do dishes, who's going to do something else, chores in the house. They don't have that problem. Yet they have this miserable situation. Similarly, if you know some of the Olympic people, very famous people like Michael Phelps, 10 gold medalists in one Olympic, the most decorated Olympian, I think, in the history of Olympics. After all that, he reached to a conclusion that he must commit suicide. He does not want to live. He did not. He went through the whole series of treatment. Then there are people in the entertainment industry, and then we know pretty much everywhere. Even I heard that our previous president's wife, she talked about some of the mental issues or health issues they went through depression, anxiety. Recently, Michelle Obama in the interview. So looking at this whole spectrum of people, why am I mentioning these people? I'm mentioning these people because we want to become them in our career. We want our children to become them, thinking that we all become happy. And the point I'm trying to make from this discussion and these examples is that we have to learn from these examples that almost all of them have been very unhappy in their life, even after achieving the goals. Is that okay? Is that material success does not translate into our true happiness. And so, we send our children to school. They go through school and they go through this progression from middle to elementary to middle to high school. And then, they are constantly bombarded by these false identities in their life. I wanted to show you some data that I collected from LIST, which is largest school district here. And I was going through one of the journal from one of the school called Marcus High School. That is where my daughter went to school. And I was shocked that, they were talking about distress through social media, distress because of relationship and anxiety and depression. And then I started talking to the school authorities. I started getting engaged in various schools. What I learned is that they have these suicide prevention workshops in school. Not only high school, starts from elementary school. The question comes, why should I talk about suicide prevention in elementary school? Is that the age? What is causing us to go there in that situation? And that is where I learned that what we call midlife crisis, that Arjun also went through. At the end of chapter 1, he describes that how he's in crisis. Midlife crisis, which is really an identity crisis, because midlife crisis means I don't know what to do in my life now. I'm at a point, no relationship is working, nobody is talking to me, nobody's listening to me, my kids have left school, they don't really care, my wife or husband not really talking to me, I don't know what to do. Actually, it is happening in elementary school now. Elementary school itself, kids think that my identity is that on social media, as an example that we talked about. That if I don't have million hits or million users or likes, it's not worth living. Or if I do not have that iPhone 16 newest version, I should not, this whole thing is not worth living. I have to have it. Or if I don't have that Xbox remote. The cases here where, one older sibling would kill the younger sibling just because they don't have remote. So now, I hope everybody gets the magnitude of the problem. And to overcome, what happens is, then these children, especially as they get to high school, they get means to somehow temporarily do something to themselves to overcome these issues, which includes issues like, which includes the means like vape. If you know what is vape. If you don't know, ask your children, they will know. Sextortion is one of the things where their extortion happens through some of the means which are, their photos and their identities which are published in the public area, and then they start asking them money. They start using, if they, of course, they try to get painkillers, use that. I work with the students who do that. They even use something what we call the dusters, the cleaners, that sprays to clean the keyboard, and the paint, they inhale that. So they try to find means that somehow I have to be relevant in that identity. And so now we look at chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjun, who comes to the battlefield with a decision made prior to that, I'm going to fight this war. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. This is my personal war. And this happened to my wife, this happened to my family, and now that all the means are closed and we have negotiated everything, nothing works, and hence let's go to the war, right? Then he tells Krishna to take his chariot in middle of the battlefield so that he can look at both sides. As he is going through this, he starts seeing people like his grandfather, his relatives, his friends, his teachers on the other side and both sides, and then he starts getting this realization, oh my God, how will I do? What will I do? I don't think I can do this. And he gives a lot of very good reasons that if we do this, this will happen to society, and degradation will happen, a lot of people will die. Instead, I would rather not worry about getting this property or kingdom and go to the forest and do meditation there. I will leave everything. Then in that process, towards the end, he says, I have no idea what to do. I do not know what should be the next action for me. And so when that happens to us or our children or family members, what are the choices we have? When we reach to a point that I do not know what to do in my life, I do not know if this is right or wrong, and I'm overwhelmed with information, and something is not making sense. And life is probably not worth living. Like Arjuna is saying, I want to quit, I want to go. There are two options we have at that time. One is I quit, or I get help. Right? I get help to get somebody who can take me out of this, or I quit. What is happening in society today, from Arjuna's example, what we can understand, majority of the young generation is taking the path of I quit. And when I take the path of I quit, I get into these activities such as some kind of intoxication to help me forget everything. Or I say, it's not worth living anymore. So many examples every day that are happening because of this false identity. And this verse that we just read, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya Sitoshna Sukha Dukkhada, right? Where it is describing that the non-permanent nature, non-permanent non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance due course of time are the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. And then towards the end it says, they arise from sense perception. O sign of Bharata, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Actually, nobody's teaching us that. There is no school that teaches how to deal with ups and downs of life, that they are part of the material nature. Actually, it is teaching opposite, that you have to be only successful. This is the path. You have to grow. You have to have these targets. You have to have these goals. If you're not doctor, you're not engineer, you're not CEO, your life is not worth living. So we create this false identity for which we chase all our life. And then we forget that Bhagavad Gita describes 4 core problems that are to be addressed in our life. What are the core problems? Anybody knows? Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, which is old age, disease, death, and birth. I said in particular order because sometimes we do not agree that there is birth before, there's a life before birth. But essentially, we are in this body, we are going to get old, we are going to be diseased, and we are going to die. And according to Bhagavad Gita, that cycle goes on. Then we are reborn according to our karmic reaction. And because nobody teaches us how to deal with this non-permanent nature of the material energy in life, we have absolutely no idea what are we solving for in our life. Are we solving for house? Are we solving for car? Are we solving to become a CEO? Or are we solving the real problem? Because even after having those things, even after becoming the CEO, we still have the problem of old age, disease, and death. It is not going away. So, not having that education system available in schools or colleges, and even at homes, unfortunately, pushes us in an unknown area of absolutely living with no true goals in life. We set these goals thinking that these are the goals, but if you look at the bigger picture, all the goals that we make on a material platform actually is taken away in the same lifetime. Because that is the nature of the material energy. It is temporary. It has a start and an end. As simple as example that if child has an identity that if I have an iPhone 16, I am the happiest person on this life. Well, in 6 months, they will have iPhone 17, and then 18. And then one day somebody else will have something without, you don't even need a phone now. What are you going to do? We keep chasing that, right? And so in that process, we miss this opportunity for the human beings, which is the biggest question to ask, which makes us different than animals. Animals and humans do 4 things which are common. What are these 4 things? Ahar, Nidra, Bhai, Mathunam, which is procreating, eating, sleeping, and defending. We all do exactly same thing. Even our dogs can do that, cat can do that, mosquitoes can do that, and we can do that. The only thing that differentiates us from the animals is our ability to ask question, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why am I getting old? What is the purpose of my life? Am I going to throw my children into the same thing? When we start asking that question, Krishna explains that that is the start of our spiritual journey. So from the chapter 1, our first lesson of the Bhagavad Gita, that is my favorite lesson, is when we reach to the point that I quit, let us not quit. Let us extend our hand and ask for help. And so he reaches to Krishna that please help me, mentor me, guide me. And he's reaching out for a spiritual guidance to find a guru. That is why we are so grateful to Srila Prabhupada, who came all the way from India at the age of 70 or close to 70, when he was very comfortable living in Vrindavan. He did not know anybody here. Imagine at that age, coming in a cargo ship, as everybody knows, not even in a flight. He begged for a ticket in India. He did not know anybody in America. Why is such an old person coming here? For what? When he's so comfortable doing things there. He's coming only for one purpose. He has so much of compassion and love. He sees that what is happening to the society, and if he does not go to America according to his guru's instruction, and not go to the biggest and the most considered smartest city in the world, then people will not take the message of Bhagavad Gita. So he comes to US, he comes to Boston, then comes to New York, and he knows nobody. Imagine that. Yet he's going every day. He's making every endeavor. He's creating this infrastructure, vision that we cannot even imagine what he must have gone through. How much of anxiety and stress he must have gone through just to make it happen. But he had faith. He had Guru's instruction. Now, I will tell you personally that I go through stress and anxiety almost every day at my work. To the point sometimes I want to quit. I really want to give up my job. And then I think of Srila Prabhupada and get some inspiration that I need to ask for help. I'm not saying that we need to get help from a material platform to be successful, but we need the help on the mental and spiritual platform. Because on material platform, no matter what we do, we have to look at the examples of the most successful people on this planet Earth. They are equally miserable. Most rich people on the planet Earth, they are equally miserable. Most powerful people on the planet Earth, they are equally miserable. So we really need to look for spiritual help. Because that is the foundation. There are two types of education described in Bhagavad Gita. One is called apara education and one is called para education. Apara deals with material energy. So that is why our Vedas actually describes all the things that are needed for material success. It is given, everything is given. But it also describes it as temporary in nature. And that is why we have these ashrams called, brahmacharya ashram, grahastha ashram, sannyas ashram, vanaprastha ashram, sannyas ashram. Why is that? Grahastha ashram is the ashram where we can use some of those things to fulfill our some sense gratification in a controlled environment under the rules and regulations and guidance. And the purpose is that so that we can make progress under those rules and regulations and really move towards a spiritual progress. That is where para education comes in the play. So think of apara education. It helps with our material goals. It helps with our relationship goals. It helps with our health goals. But this is all on material platform that will be taken away at the time of death or maybe before. Then there's a para education, which is a spiritual education, which deals with growing in life, not just go through life. Rest is just allow us to go through life. Somehow we manage between birth and death. That's all. We are born. We know we are going to die. And between B and D, we make choices. You have said in your one of the lectures, right? B and D or something like that. C is for choices. So B, C, D. So we make choices, which I often learned from the hospital that something what is called palliative care. Does everybody know what is palliative care? It is the care given to the person who is closer to death. We just make a comfortable environment so that they can die comfortably because there is no medical capability available to cure them. Actually, palliative care applies to the entire life because once we are born, we are just trying to reduce pain to get feel of that happiness. And in that process, we become old, disease, and die. We still die. So that is the whole life becomes palliative care on material platform. So we have to take a step back and look at what these successful people are doing and how Bhakti Yoga is actually important and brings that value even if we are successful. So I have 15 minutes, so I'll try to now summarize the last part of our conversation here. Why people do philanthropy? If you see the news, Bill Gates recently announced that he's going to give up $200 billion by 245 and not give it to his children towards the upliftment of, or towards the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, so it can be used. And that foundation is amazing. They are actually trying to do what? You know that? Primary goal is to eradicate disease, and so that kids do not die as they are born, because that is actually biggest number of death in that category. Newborns die in a lot of countries that it does not even come in news. So that is his one of the objective. Second is education and providing means to get food. So this is a noble cause. Imagine, $200 billion is a lot of money to give for it. And still children are not going to get it. Like that, there are many philanthropists, they are turning towards service, even after they are very successful. Why is that? Any thoughts? Yes, Prabhu.
One is that they have understood that they can't do much with their money, and they also have felt some kind of happiness by doing it in the past, so they want to basically relish that happiness more.
Yes, thank you very much. Imagine if once we are successful, and even if we are not successful, if we get an opportunity to feed someone and that person is very satisfied, how does it feel? Feels really good. If you can contribute to somebody's education who wants to go to school but cannot go to school, we feel what? We feel good. More good than what we would feel in our material success, other successes, career, etc. But what is the problem there? According to Bhagavad Gita, that is moving into mode of goodness, but unfortunately that still keeps us under the clutches of Maya by creating more good karma on the platform of material activities, which leads to another birth. But that birth in more opulent circumstances, meaning if I do a lot of donation, if I'm doing a lot of good things, I may be born in a rich family, but I have to be born again. And so what is the problem being born again? Born again means in this body again, where we have to go through the issues that we go today. We have, old age issue, disease issues, death issues, we have relationship issues, all kind of miseries will again come even if we are the richest person again. And hence, when we do these charities, when we do this philanthropy, we have to understand two things out of it from the material side. One is that somehow these people are turning towards service, point number one, right? Second thing is, yes, they are doing service, but they are doing on the platform of only material understanding. Let's take the first point, right? I'm going to break it down now. First point is service. Why are they turning towards service? They are turning towards service unknowingly because that is the nature of our true identity, which is Sat Chit Anand. We are the soul. We are not this body. And the nature of the soul is always eternal, full of knowledge, and all eternally happy. That happy state comes in the mood of service. And the soul is always serving. That is the true nature of the soul. But because that knowledge from Bhagavad Gita is not there in these philanthropical organizations, they are serving. Somehow they are getting glimpses of that satisfaction, but it is also taken away because it is still at the material platform. There's a main core component missing in this service. And when what we understand from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that actually I am the center of everything. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvalok maheshwaram. I am the supreme enjoyer. And he is not saying because he's looking for, okay, you serve me, I am the best, I'm sitting on this big, palace and everybody should be my servant. That is not the idea. He does not need our service as a service. Of course, he's looking for love from us. And in that love, which is the nature of the soul, Sat Chit Ananda, the love part can only happen, which needs minimum of 2 people. The exchange can only happen between 2 people, and that is where Bhakti Yoga comes in this age of advancement also. That how do you really enjoy, cherish true nature of the soul, which is actually getting engaged in the service. And which service to engage? That is what we learn from Bhagavad Gita, that actually Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And my true identity is to serve. And that is why I'm trying to serve on the material platform. But if I start serving to Krishna, then I'm actually serving the roots of the entire creation. That includes material creation also. And so when I establish that relationship back with Krishna through Bhakti Yoga, then I start experiencing the true happiness. And so whatever I'm trying to do, feeding the whole world or eradicating disease or wanting to get education to everybody on this planet Earth, it has not worked in last several thousand years. Srila Prabhupada often quotes that United Nations is still trying to save the wars, save the hunger. They're really trying very hard. People are working very hard there. But because Krishna is not in the center, because we are not watering the roots there, we are doing without that root, we are only watering the leaves. Watering the leaves will never give the fruits. We have to water the roots, and the root is Krishna. Everybody will be successful, even United Nations will be very successful if they can bring Krishna consciousness in the center of these wars and hunger and eradication of disease, whatever we want to do. And that is the proposition of Bhagavad Gita that Krishna described throughout the process of 18 chapters, chapter by chapter by chapter, going into detail, just doing question and answer with Arjuna. And as it described, as I was sharing from the chapter 1, how Arjun was in the state of panic where he wanted to quit. We want to teach our friends and family members and ourselves that we do not want to quit. This life has come with, I don't know how many births it took to get this human life, and we do not want to waste it. We do not want to quit. We want to help. We want to find that spiritual guru in this life. We want to get that knowledge so that we can really live to the values of the verse that we were reading, which is Matrisparshastu Kaunteya Sitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. And our children can learn to live, because the time ahead, and I am from that industry, so I can tell you, time ahead is really, really hard for them. Education system is going to change. Education will not matter anymore. The industries, the AI and robotics industry where we started our conversation, the first thing they are doing, the mass consumption of that industry, what production of that industry is actually robotics people with whom our children can build relationships. Can you imagine? They feel good about it. You know why? Because at the press of a button, I can mute the other person. I do not want to hang out with you tonight. Mute, done. Tomorrow, you start with how I want you to do. So because of our controlling nature, we are moving away from real relationships, which is really with Krishna and the devotees. And this next generation is actually building relationship with those machines and phones or these applications, which is giving them instant sense gratification. And if we do not learn what is our real identity, that's going to be extremely, extremely difficult life ahead. We want to make sure they can learn if the stock market goes down, like it went 2 months back or 1 month back. I'm fine, I can handle it. If I don't get straight A's, I'm fine, I can handle it. And like in India, and as an example, if kids cannot get into IIT, I'm fine. IIT is just one thing. There are hundreds of things. And these days, kids are giving up their life just because they can't get to certain college or schools. We talked about social media example. We talked about so many examples. It is extremely, extremely difficult if nobody teaches them what is my true identity. That is how we can save midlife crisis, which is happening in elementary school today. So please, before you go, take the copy of Bhagavad Gita if you don't have. I know everybody has at least one copy in the house. I always humbly request everybody that if you have 4 family members in the house, you should have 4 Bhagavad Gita. And the reason I say is that everybody must make their own notes. It is your personal journal. It is your personal journey. Family members can only create an environment. I am on my own. Nobody can really help me. Guru can show me the direction. Everybody can do everything. I still have to eat the food. I have to create the desire. Otherwise, we cannot do anything. So everybody should have their personal copy of Bhagavad Gita, especially if they're a student. It is a must thing along with the rest of the books that you have. And there's another book I will describe since I have 4 more minutes I can take, Prabhu. The Nectar of Instruction. It's a beautiful book, 11 verses. And it describes, if you don't have time to read 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, these 11 verses pretty much compress everything into, every knowledge into those 11 verses. And that can change your life. One of the verses is, what is that one? Sorry, I'm forgetting, but I want to bring that. Atyahara prayasascha. Thank you, Prabhu. Atyahara prayasascha poniyam agraha bhakti yasati. Eating more than necessary. So it describes the cause of why mind get distracted. I want to highlight just one point out of it since we have few more minutes. It says eating more than necessary, collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing spirituality for the sake of doing it, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in true purpose of life, being greedy for mundane achievements. This is such an amazing thing if you read the description there, but I'll highlight one thing which is very prevalent in today's society. Over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. We end up setting goals in our life, whether it is education goals or financial goals, etc., which are extremely difficult and can take lifetime to achieve. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or 50 years sometimes to get there. And we reach there. And we get that, 15 seconds of aha moment. We don't know what to do in 16th second after that, now that we got it. We spent 50 years doing that PhD to find out why apple is moving from here to there. Krishna says it is gravity. And read Srimad Bhagavatam, it will tell you everything. I'm not discouraging PhD, I'm just making a point that we need to make very careful and conscious decisions in our life. How do I want to spend my time? Life is very short. So please, thank you very much for coming to Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji Temple. And please do take Bhagavad Gita or the Nectar of Instruction or the Discover Yourself or the Science of Self-Realization. Please do not go without a book today. Thank you very much. Yes. So we can still take, we have some time. Any comments, questions anybody has? Yes, Prabhu. Can we pass the mic, Prabhu? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. What's a more valuable charity?
What is
Bill
the most?
Gates. What's a more valuable charity? Bill Gates giving billions or Harinam Sankirtan?
Oh, valuable charity. Oh, absolutely. There is no doubt. What solves the biggest problem in your life? The charity that solves the biggest problem in your life is the biggest charity. It's very simple. Hare Nam or Nam Sankirtan or giving the holy name, giving the books like Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada books, if that solves the biggest problem in life of somebody getting out of the cycle of birth and death, you can put $1 billion on one side and you can weigh. Right? Thank you, Prabhu. Any other questions or comments? Yes. Can we give it to her, please?
Hare Krishna. I want to know why the world is created at the first place. Like why there is this world. Why we have this world.
How much time we have, Prabhu? 45 minutes more? It's a class itself, but I'll try to summarize in a very short. The world is created to cater our material desires that we had. It started from the separation of the Lord, that I do not want to be with the Lord. I want to control things by myself. And hence, out of love and out of sadness, Krishna says that if you do not want to be with me, I can't force the relationship, so we get to the material world. Because here now we are controlling things, we are creating our things. We think that it's like that sand castle that we make on the beach, which is thrashed away with a wave. So we keep making these castles thinking I'm making this. And when I'm frustrated, then I say, okay, you know what? I need to go back home. And that's when we start looking for Krishna. So for that purpose, the material world is there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Second question.
So it means we are with God before.
Yes.
And then we were sent because we don't want to listen to God.
We were not sent, we chose to leave.
We chose to leave God.
Yes.
And that's how He sent us here.
Yes, so we came here to fulfill those material desires.
Yeah. So I have another question. Maybe it's just like there are different
Can
kind
you
of
bring it closer, please?
Yeah, so there are different kind of religions, right? So every religion says oh, this person came first in this world. According to Islam, someone else came. According to Hinduism, someone else came. So if there is one God, so how many times different kind of people are coming from different perspective? It's what is the reality of it? Who came first?
Who came first? I probably did not understand the full question, but I'll try to break it down, try to answer very quickly. First of all the bona fide religion teaches only one thing, which is what?
Peace, love.
Love, right? How to build the relationship back with the Lord. So from that perspective, there is no difference, right? Now, to understand what is love, how to love a person, that is where the differences start coming. You have to know a person to love somebody. I have to know about that person. I have to know what that person likes to eat, what are the activities of that person, where that person likes to visit, so that I can create an environment where I can have that loving exchange in that environment. As an example, if a family member is there, and if I want to please, or let's take an example of boyfriend and girlfriend. If boy knows that girl whom he's attracted to and thinks that he's in love, likes certain type of food, even if that boy does not like it, he will take that girl to that place to cater that. But to do that, so he has to make those sacrifices for that love. But again, it is on the material platform. I'm just trying to make a point. So we have to know the activities of Lord. We have to know what Lord, we call it Krishna, which is all attractive, right? What does Krishna like to do? What does Krishna like to eat? What can I offer? What does it like to hear? Are there pastimes of Krishna where I can do some service? That knowledge makes a difference. How do you approach your identity and your religion? But every religion teaches that the ultimate goal is to get the love of Lord. So there is no difference. Now, understanding of the people, and so the prophets comes to teach at times. Every religion has that, but they come, they are bona fide prophets who come here, but they teach to certain people in certain time, place, and circumstances. We have to understand the essence of it. We have to understand the details of it also, if we want to follow and really bring that change in our life. When we have a people who are trying to teach something who have not actually read and understood, then we will get half information from them, and that is what causes all the problems between the religions today, that people with ulterior motive use religion for their own sense gratification. Otherwise, ultimately, it is just the love of God. That is what I learned from my mentor, my guru, His Holiness Radhanath Swami. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, as you say that it's our choice, we were with the God, and by our choice we came here. Can you give any scripture reference, Prabhu? Because in Gita, we read that Yad Gatvana Nivartante.
Spiritual reference of what, Prabhu?
Scriptural reference.
For?
When you say that means we were with the God, means I was at the spiritual world, and I desire that I want to come here, or I want to separation from Lord.
Well, I can take somebody's help for scriptural reference. I can give you, I don't know right now, I'm going to be honest. As I said, I am a student. But what I can tell you is, across the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying a few things. One is that we are part and parcel of Krishna, right? And so we are spiritual nature. We are Satchidanand. Krishna is Satchidanand. The quantity and quality makes a difference. We also know from Bhagavad Gita that we have free will. That is the only thing that is free. Everything else in this material world, we are under the three modes of material nature. No matter what we want to do, it is really, under the influence three modes. Only thing that is free is our desire, is our ability to desire. That I want to desire either with Krishna or not to be with Krishna. And based on that knowledge and understanding and reading and lectures from my Guru Maharaj, I am sharing that because we desired not to be with Krishna, we come here.
So it's your assumption only?
No, it's not assumption. It is what I heard from bona fide teachers.
But we have no any scripture reference, Prabhu?
There are, I don't know. I'm saying there are scriptural references. I'm not saying there are, I don't know that. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the wonderful class, Prabhu.